Namaste, Mani. Welcome.
Namaste, Abhi. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, good, oh, good. Thank you for the last engagement. It was very informative, your last podcast on the consequences of low vibrational energy in relationships. I have another question to add on to the previous discussion. Can I go ahead and ask it?
Yeah, go. Shoot.
Okay. You made mention that building a relationship with oneself is important, your relationship with your true self. Because we are almost become mirrors of each other, the other person or the person you're in a relationship with becomes a reflection of you. What's core to that is also a relationship with oneself. So, how does one build a relationship with your true self
Okay.
before embarking on the relationship, or that being the core focus?
Good question. I understand it very much so. So, dear listeners, this is the Iowa channel, Astro In with Abhi channel, Astro In with Abhi, bringing in all the oneness of astrology and spirituality, where I have discussions on pretty much everything, and I tie it into spiritual awareness because everything is spiritual. You and I are spiritual. So, thank you, Mani, for the question. We must understand firstly that um, true self. What is true self? In order to build a relationship with true self, one must begin to try and see true self. What is true self and where is true self? Once a person identifies or realizes this truth of what true self is, forming relationships with everybody becomes very simple. Because as a consequence of realizing true self, you've already built a relationship with your higher self. Because there's no difference between the true self and the higher self. It's just that small droplet from cosmic ocean. But there's no difference from true self. It's like this here. If you if you're holding a mirror to the sun, you can see the sun in the mirror. But
Mhm.
if I break that mirror, where is the sun? It's gone. So you got a mirror and you're shining the sun's light somewhere. Somebody looking at the mirror will think the mirror is the God. But you break the mirror, then now the person is looking at another mirror, bigger mirror elsewhere. Now this is a bit deep.
Mhm.
What is self? In order to build a relationship or to build a relationship with your true self, one must understand what is self. Where self is coming from. Where's the source of self? Forget about creator. Let's look at creation. Because for me there is creation. Creation is a happening. It's not a happened. It's not a going to happen, it's a happening. It's been a happening all the time. So what is
Mm.
true self and where does true self fit in the mix? Everybody everybody is a reflection of you. Depending how you take it, that's a reflection of your perception. For example, if I've got looks this person A decides to come to my table, he talks about a certain thing, and if I'm offended by it, that's not anything on him. It's a reflection on me. I'm
Mm.
taking such energy and I'm building something out of it, which is whatever, negative. This is
Mm.
myself that I need to work on because I've taken these things and I built something from it. So everybody brings, or everybody is a reflection on you. It's important to understand what will I do with this reflection of me. Will I be of light? Will I give off light and take in everything without getting entangled with it, without getting twisted in it? This much separation, this is very important in building a relationship with your true self. Because once you realize your true self, it becomes very simple thereafter. And it becomes very difficult to engage in any relationship, even your own self, if you have a false identification of who you are. So leave relationships with
Mm,
the other people. You will never have a proper relationship with yourself because you don't know who what you are. And therefore, relationships will be very difficult to hold on to. But let's just say you have now you're in the process of identifying your true nature. If you're doing some relationship building with your higher power, meditation or devotion or whatever it is, over a considerable period of time, you will understand your true self. Maybe not in its full potential, but you are in that. The theme is there. You're in the house. You just need to
mm,
locate, which is fine. Most human beings are not even in the house. They're not even in the same neighborhood. Once you're in the house, you're safe. Why? Because you're on the right track. It's just a matter of time of locating your true self. Locating your true self isn't a actual location. In fact, it's everywhere, but I'm not going to go too much into that there. And then from here, relationships with other people becomes very simple. Whether it's intimate relationships or whether it's casual or acquaintances, you be you start to be a loving person because you realize this much. You realize the self in the next person, and this might sound completely off to many listeners, or you might find this is a common thing that a lot of ascended masters are saying, but you might not understand why they're saying it. It is true that you begin to not see with your two eyes, but see from a point of knowing, from a point of knowing. You
mm,
start to know the original source which is residing in everybody. What's the need for any fussing? What's the need for any ego building or battle of power? Fundamentally, the root of all misery is the ego, and the root of
mm,
all peace is the dissolving of the ego. The dissolving of the ego means identifying self as a consequence, and the root for more misery is magnifying the ego or feeding the ego. Once you dissolve the ego, peace is a realization of this. Identifying with your true self is a consequence of this, which in turn, realizing that same oneness in all forms of life, the relationships becomes a breeze. Jai Shri Ram, I hope this answers the question.
thank you, Avi.
Thank you. Namaste to you.
Namaste.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.